Welcome to the Horror Friendly Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Horror Friendly Podcast, part of the You Run Podcast Network. My name is Katie, and I am joined by Chantel.
Hey, sorry, I
Hey.
always keep pausing. I don't know why.
It's like a drum roll. I'm just waiting for you to come in.
I'm expecting a bigger entrance. That's what it is.
And we're joined again by my mum, Caroline, who we last saw on Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and she's back. She's back for more.
Back.
Guess who's
Back.
The bitch is back. I'm allowed to say that because she just said it.
So that's no excuse, Katie.
Welcome
Should we know
back.
that?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You excited?
Yeah, very excited. It's a great film, so I'm excited
Yeah.
to talk about it. It's a really good film.
It
This
is.
is a bit of a different one for us, isn't it, Tal? Like, this isn't what we normally cover. So,
Yeah, I actually said to my partner we were doing this one. He was like, "That's not a horror," and I was like, "No, but it's. I think it's down as crime adventure, which I feel like crosses over enough." And also, again, like if you're watching this from a girl's perspective, there's definitely a scene that could be considered horror. So fuck it, we're going to go for it.
yeah. Okay.
But we are covering the 1991 Thelma and Louise, directed by Ridley Scott. Two best friends set out on an adventure, but it soon turns around to a terrifying escape from being hunted by the police as these two women escape from the crimes they committed. Okay, nice short, brief intro. Katie, first time watching it? I'm assuming not.
No, I watched it a couple of years ago. I think maybe when I was ill or something. Like I watched it. I remember was distinctly watching it on the sofa. So I think it was an ill film. But yeah, but I hadn't seen it in ages. So it was really I've literally just finished it. I finished watching it again. So it was really nice rewatching it. Because I was saying to mum actually, like rewatching it, you remembered quite a lot from when you first watched it, which is quite nice. There's some like real scenes that sort of really stick with you when you first seen it. Yeah, I think it's a film that you think about for a while after watching it. But yeah, I mean it's a great film. It's right up my street. But yeah, what about you? Is this your first time?
No, but I can't remember when I watched it. I think it was back in school. And again, I don't know if they'd have showed this to us at school or if it was just like one that was talked about. But I think it was around then because I really, of all the scenes for me to remember, it was the Brad Pitt one. But I think it was because he was stood there with a hairdryer. And I just thought that was like really funny when he's like talking through that. So that like stuck with me. And then obviously the ending.
Yeah.
So like quite the bits in the middle didn't really, we was a bit like watching it for the first time again, which was quite nice. But yeah, it was kind of funny how, like you say, like it stays with you after, but very specific bits seem to stay with you.
Yeah.
What about you,
Yeah.
Caroline?
Yeah, do you remember when you first watched it?
Yeah, I do remember first watching it, probably when you kids were tiny, because it came out in 91, did you say?
Mm.
Yeah, so you kids tiny. And watching it again from, decades down the line, you have watched it with few different eyes.
Yeah.
You see different bits, but I really liked it. I think it's a lovely film about women's friendship, about loyalty and love, and yeah, just about how
Female empowerment.
yeah, female empowerment and just about friendship, about how lovely those two, that they
Mm.
stuck together and they had each other's back and they literally loved and died together. So
Brilliant.
I liked it. I thought it was a great film. It's really, yeah, it's really good,
Mm.
really good.
It's
Really depressing
Yeah.
at some points, but and nothing's changed. When you see those awful bits in the middle, you think, oh God, nothing's changed, has it, in the
No.
decades?
No, it's true. Like
Yeah.
feel like everything I saw in that film, none of it has aged.
No,
Like
no.
it's unfortunately like none of it has aged at all. It's all very, very valid now. So like none of it was particularly shocking to me because that's what women go through all the time now.
I think it's funny as well when you say like it's like quite uplifting, but also quite sad. And I was like, that's funny because yeah, like when I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Thelma and Louise, like I was excited. I was like, oh, it's that really like uplifting film. But then when you watch it, you are right. You're like, oh, it's actually like hitting harder than I remember. Like those bits, you remember them, but they don't. That's not the bit that stays with you. It's the that they loved each other, that they were like the female empowerment. That's the bit that stays with you.
Yeah.
Even though, well, because we fucking need it. Because all these years later, as you say, nothing's changed. So we need that female empowerment to get through day to day.
Nothing's changed. To the point at my grand old age of 61, I got followed into the bloody car park the other day, and I just think, oh, for fuck's sake, when does this ever stop?
Like,
Just
honestly,
crazy.
we need to go back to carrying knives. Like, I know the
Yeah.
problem is then men would also carry them, but I read a thing the other day and it was I can't remember what film it was from. It was either from like Gladiator or 300. It was something like that. And it was like, oh, the toughest man, but he looked to his wife for like permission to beat someone up, and everyone was like, it wasn't permission. She was like an advisor, political advisor. So like she like suggested, yes, this is a smart move. But then they said like in the history of like I think it was either ancient Rome or ancient, I think it was ancient Greece, because I think it was like gladiator time. Women used to carry knives, and it was like a thing that if their husband ever put hands on them, they would cut their face so that when the men went into public, everyone would know he tried to beat his wife. So they treat him like
Wow.
shit. And I was like, why is this not a thing? Why are we not marking abusers and marking rapists so that they walk around and everyone else shames them? Like, bring it
Wow,
back.
that's crazy. Yeah.
I'll have to find the fact, because I always forget like little details. I'm like, there's a really interesting fact that I kind of remember. But yeah, let's go back to that.
Yeah, it was a weird, like, it literally was like a combination, because even the ending, like, everyone remembers the ending and how iconic it is,
Yeah.
but at the same time it's so like relatable now, because even they couldn't even get their full like like they couldn't be their own selves without having to sacrifice something. So they both had to sacrifice their lives by getting like full freedom. And it's like, I mean, this is sort of turning a bit dark already, but like that even is the case now with like thousands of women who are killed by men. Like, the only reason that they get any kind of sentence in their life is eventually, by the time the woman actually dies, is when they get any kind of punishment for it.
And
And it kind of like, I don't know if it was the intention in the film, but it really made me think that like they still had to make some kind of sacrifice in order to like free themselves. It could, like, they had to die at the end.
Yeah, but
Like,
they had killed someone.
yeah, but
he was a rapist. That's like
he
killing a
was a
pig.
rapist. He was
Like,
He was a
disgusting.
rapist, but they still killed someone. So I think they were after them for the murder as opposed to
Absolutely. No, you're
anything
right.
else.
Yes, no, absolutely. But I just think like it had
Yeah.
to end that way. Like, it was inevitable. Like, it was
Yeah.
gonna
I think
kind
you're
of end
right.
that way.
Had it the ending been that they got to Mexico and they were sat having margaritas watching a sunset, the film would not be as well remembered. You're
No.
right. I think it had to be that powerful statement at the end that they had to lose everything.
Yeah.
Which, as you say, is like heartbreaking. And again, like everyone, like you say, like even nowadays when women die, and then it's like, oh, but why didn't they say anything? It's like, but you look at the pattern, and then it gets
Exactly.
to that extreme. Like, why can't we intercept earlier? Like, and why could these police not catch them earlier? Why were there
That's
like
what I mean. It's like an
20
extreme.
policemen?
Yeah, like it's like an extreme version of that, really,
Yeah.
that what women kind of face in their lives, sort of thing. But yeah. So
Yeah. Because then if women take it into their own hands, suddenly they
yeah.
become the fugitives. But there were so many police trying to catch these two women. I'm like, if you had this much police trying to catch the rapist, maybe we wouldn't have this fucking problem. I'm gonna keep swearing tonight because I'm fuming. But
I know, put so much fucking energy into like this, but they don't for an actual rape case today.
yeah, like no, you'd never get that much manpower for a rape case. Are you kidding?
No.
Absolutely not.
It was funny actually, because there was quite a lot of well, not a lot, but there was some controversy in the film from men. And I'm not going to give this a lot of time because it's not worth our time. But they said that it was very anti-men, and that there was no character, there was no male character in the film that was sympathetic, and which I disagree with actually.
I
But
disagree with.
but also, if there isn't, like, you've just completely missed the entire point of the film.
Yeah.
But it's funny that like that was one of the only criticisms that this film got, was from other men who kind of thought, well, yeah, this isn't fair. Like, this isn't a depiction of real life.
Yeah.
We're not all bad and all of that. Like, it actually got criticism from that, which is like, it literally just sums up the whole point of the film, I think.
Yeah, you're literally pointing out.
Just
Well,
ridiculous.
no, mate. It's about two women, who go on a road trip and get hassled the whole way along. and-
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
end up,
I
killing
know.
someone. And
Well, Ridley Scott said, he was like, actually, I'll argue against that, because I think Detective Howe, like
I
he
was
was
literally
very
going to say
like,
how.
yeah, like he was quite sympathetic to them, and he
Yeah.
kind of was as nice as he could have been to them. So I think he was quite a sympathetic male character, but again, like it's not really the point.
I think he was one of the those as well, where he was like, again, like he'd obviously been in the law force for a while, and he was kind of getting to that point where he was like, they didn't just kill for no reason. They're not doing this for no reason. So, and like I think he could be like, right, what, you know, what triggered it, what set it off. So I think, as you say, like he was still seeing them as people and trying to figure that out, but trying to get them to prison because they did still break the law and kill someone. But
Yeah.
it was that where it was like he didn't want to see them dead. He wanted to see them punished, but he also wanted to
Yeah.
know why they'd done it. But
Mm.
one man against all the others wasn't going to win the fight. So
Mm.
I suppose he didn't want them to be like the Bonnie and Clyde characters where they literally just robbed and killed, and
yeah,
so he was trying to sort of say, no, they've done this for there must be a different reason for them doing it. They were just two normal housewives who wanted to go for a nice weekend away and go on a little adventure, and he probably saw it as that, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think when they discover the body of the guy, even I think the waitress is like not a witness, but she gets interviewed, and even she says she was like he had that. I mean, that guy had it coming. Like he was
yeah.
constantly doing that to women all the time. So immediately it was set up as something that it wasn't like a stereotypical like Hollywood film where like the policeman is tracking them. It's like, Catch Me If You Can or something like that. It wasn't like you know,
No,
a manhunt really. And that was set up straight away, I think, when that woman was like, this guy had it coming for years. So
yeah.
you kind of it already set the scene for you, I think.
But she even said as well, like those girls weren't killers. Like, so again, I think that kind of sets it up for the police. Like, well, if they did kill, why?
Yeah.
Because again, it's not just they weren't out to kill; they killed in self-defense.
And she killed him because do you think she killed him because she was so outraged of what happened to her, which is sort of unspoken, isn't it?
It
That she
is,
wouldn't
yeah, it's
go
hinted.
through Texas. Well, no, she wouldn't go.
Yes.
She wouldn't
Yeah,
go
she
through
wouldn't go through
Texas.
Texas because something awful happened to her. So it's almost like that. Obviously, that probably happened to her in Texas. She couldn't go back there, and so when that happened to her again, the red mist took over, and she just killed him because perhaps it was just brought it the pain of whatever she went through back in
Yeah.
Texas.
I think it was
Do you think,
partly
or
of
am I getting
that.
that wrong?
No,
No,
I
though,
think it
I
was.
think
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah, I mean, it was hinted throughout the film that like that that had happened to her, and
Yeah.
even the detective when she was on the phone, he was on the phone to her. He said, "Oh, I've read up your file. I know what happened to you."
Oh.
So it is, yeah, you're completely right. I think that's 100. Well, actually, I don't know if it's 100% the reason why she shot him. I think also, there was probably, as you say, she saw a red mist and she was defending her friend. But I think that's massively to do with why she just pulled that trigger and killed him.
But we've said it before, and I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but like where it's easier to stand up for someone else than yourself. So, like, I think the Louise character as well, like, this horrible thing happened to her. She's, gone through life, like, and just not been able to, she wasn't able to stand up for herself. I'm assuming, again, we didn't really know a lot about her incident. I don't want to call it incident, that's such a shit word for it. We don't know what happened though. But
Yeah.
she couldn't stand up for herself. She just had to kind of accept and move on, which is really fucking shit. And then she watches Amber Thelma, and I think it was that she's like, I need to defend my friend. And then he was getting really shitty and like not apologizing, and he was like, I did nothing wrong.
I should have gone ahead and fucked her.
What did you say?
I said, suck my cock.
And I think that, as you say, like the red mist, because he was like, even when they're called out, he is not able to see what he did was fucking wrong. Again, I'm just going to keep swearing tonight, sorry. But even when it's literally slapped in his face, he can't see how bad it is what he done. And I think that's where she was like, he's never going to learn. Like, just put him down, because you can't teach somebody basic fucking human respect, apparently. Like, once they've got that far in life and they think that's okay.
And there was no redemption arc for him whatsoever.
No.
Like even when Louise came out, he still carried on attempting to rape her.
Plenty of opportunities to say no, to pull back and say, no, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, exactly. Like even when a gun was put to his head, he didn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what's so petrifying. And then obviously he answered back, and then, you know, what happened happened.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
And
Bye.
yeah. I think they should. I mean, I know a lot of it comes down to juries and stuff, but absolutely, if someone's like killed in self-defense because they were trying to rape you, that should absolutely be, oh, you're not guilty. Like, I'm fully up for that. That's justice. Like,
yeah, for sure. But that's what they said in the car that was really interesting. Is Louise was like, we don't live in that kind of world, because Thelma was like, let's go to the police. It was self-defense, and she was like, it doesn't work that way.
Shouldn't we go to the cops? I mean, I think we ought to tell the police.
Tell him what, Thelma? Just what do you think we should tell him, huh?
I don't know. Just tell them what happened.
Which part?
All of it. That he was raping me.
Just about 100 goddamn people saw you dancing cheek to cheek with him all night. Who's gonna believe that? That we don't live in that kind of a world, Thelma.
And like you say, Tel, that was like such a big difference between the characters. Like they gelled so well, but they were both so different. Like Thelma had come from this kind of sheltered life with her husband and just this housewife life, whereas Louise, you could tell it had like a past.
but that explains as well. That's only just clicked. Sorry, Hal had read her file, which meant she went to the police, and nothing was done. Which is why she says to Thelma, "There's no point going to the police."
Did she make a secret phone call? Didn't she go to the phone? No, did she not go to the phone booth?
She did towards the end of the film. She spoke to the detective, and then that's when the detective said,
I read your file.
I know about what happened to you. So yeah, you're right, Tel. She'd obviously reported it.
And nothing got done. She made a secret phone call already to her boyfriend.
You can't do this.
Yeah. Because I kept thinking, I was like, Louise is such an interesting character, because when she's talking to Thelma, she's kind of in that, she's in two narratives where she's talking to her as her friend and being like, you know, you did nothing wrong, but I've killed him for you. I'm your ride or die. But then on the other side is there's some lines that she comes out with, and or almost like what she doesn't say, where it is that she's like the voice of society, and it's almost like at one point she almost hints that it's not Thelma's fault, but if they'd left earlier, it wouldn't have happened. Or if we'd done this, it wouldn't have. And it's all that where it's like, well, what was she wearing? Why was she drinking? Why was she out so late? And it's all that bullshit. But so Louise was kind of in between the two, where it's like, she knew how to prevent it, but it also wasn't Thelma's fault because she knows it's all just crap. So she was a really interesting kind of character, kind of stuck between those two. Whereas Thelma was,
very complicated feelings after that happens.
Yeah, like she wasn't blaming, but she was like, but I also knew how to stop this, and it was horrible. Like, that was probably the guilt.
And there was a point where, like, you know, she did have a point in terms of like Thelma just completely, you know, left her husband a note, was tiptoeing around him in the morning, debating whether to tell him or not, left it, and then immediately you could tell she was like liberated, that she'd like gone out and like. And she was like overexcited almost. So you could tell like when she went, like she wanted to dance with everyone, she wanted to drink. And it was like really different from when you first see her in the beginning scene. And again, like obviously all of those reasons don't, you know, that it's not an excuse, but it's just like, it seemed like Louise was quite taken aback by like her sudden change in mood and stuff. And like suddenly she was up for drinking and smoking and like, yeah, it seemed like Louise was like, who's this person that I'm going out with, like all of a sudden. And it was lovely to see, because it was like seeing a woman like liberated and having a nice time with her friend.
It's so sad though. It's a very sad story, because they, you know, just two best friends being like Katie said, being liberated from their various situations and going on a little road trip together, and then just coming across these awful people all the way along. And then they were really happy once they made that decision to go over the edge. It was almost like it's terribly sad story. Well, lovely at the beginning, and then it turned a bit nasty. And then this liberation at the end, when they just like hold hands and kiss and off they go into the sunset. And they just, it's sort of it's a very sad little story, I think, but a great film.
It is that bit where they like Thelma suggests it at the end, like without outright saying it. But you could like when Louise looks at her like, are you sure? It's almost that relief where she is almost just like, she knew it was the right thing, but she wasn't going to sacrifice Thelma. So when Thelma says it, she's like, are you sure? And it's almost like excited to be like, yeah, let's do this. And it's like, wait, what? Like, but I think she knew that's where it was going. She just didn't want to do it to Thelma until Thelma was ready.
Yeah.
They actually used 3 cars. They didn't they? They almost they literally, it was like a parachute, not parachute. What are those things you pull back and let go?
Oh,
like a
cannon?
slingshot.
Slingshot. If they
Slingshot.
literally, then they had 3 cars, and they did a slingshot of
Amazing.
to get that shot. So
Amazing.
it's a real car going over the edge. He wanted to get a real
Sick.
car. Yeah.
That's great. So you got to go get it back. It's going to clean it up.
Whose job's that?
I know. Yeah, 3 cars in the Grand Canyon.
That's amazing.
But imagine if they'd survived that though. If they'd like,
I know.
if the car had been like chitty bang bang,
Yeah, or
explode
grease at
in
the end.
grease,
Yeah.
yeah,
It just flies
yeah.
off.
And then they get to the bottom, and they could have been Thelma and Louise too.
I know. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? But
Yeah.
you can, I mean, you don't know what happened to them,
No.
you know, technically. I mean, you can make a wild guess, but I like to live in, Fantasyland where they're still holding hands and just like in Mexico drinking their margaritas.
They actually just never hit the floor. They're just still still going.
Exactly. Yeah. People say they're still going now. Like it's just
But yeah, no, it's really, I really like Thelma's arc, because I think there's like, obviously, as you say, like it went from her being like quite a restricted housewife to kind of like getting her freedom. She almost took her freedom too far too quickly, where she just got absolutely drunk. We've all done it, where we're like, first night out, and it's like, whereas you could see like Louise was like, you don't have to get that drunk that quickly, like could handle her drink. So you could kind of see that. And then I don't know, I think Thelma did a lot of growing, because like as even like the next couple of scenes, everything was Louise, how are we going to fix this? And I think even like with the money, like she just didn't think and just didn't take it with her and just left it in the room, and but Louise will fix it. And I think it wasn't until she actually went and stood up the shop, I was like, now she's actually kind of like making her own plans and trying to fix things rather than just always looking to Louise to do it. So I think that was actually really nice to kind of see her start to take that control, because obviously she hadn't had control of her own life before, and it was always this friend like, help me, and then like in the end they were more like a team, which was really nice.
Yeah, it wasn't just sort of Louise in charge.
Yeah, which felt very much a bit at the beginning. I was like, it does feel like she's kind of like the mother of the group. You always have that person in the group who's the mother, who's like got the gum and the money, and it was that at the beginning.
Yeah. It does also feel very reflective of like sisterhood and friendship as well, because when you're friends, or even like with me and you, like if I have a bad day, then that person kind of looks after you like you do in a friendship or whatever, and then the other person can lift the other person up when they're having a bad day. So it really did feel very like accurate of like female friendship. I think it was very much like they were lifting each other up when the other person was down.
Yeah.
And I think every woman who watches that can relate to that they have that with someone in their life. So I think that was really nice that was kind of like put in the film as well.
I think we all have a Thelma and we all have a Louise, or one of us a Thelma. And what I really like to do is the way that they dress them like that. Like Thelma, the clothes they wore were very much to their character.
Yeah.
The wild, the shorts and the little shorts and the hot, and the
like, Thelma, I think at the beginning had like a white dress on. I mean, she looked lovely, but she had like makeup on, like a full face of makeup, whereas Louise was always a bit slightly more masculine.
Yeah.
And then, as you say, like throughout the film, they get more and more just kind of like,
short.
they look
shorts
fucking
and t-shirt.
great.
Oh, they looked amazing.
They looked
Amazing.
incredible. But yeah, like jeans
Like
and
ripped
like
sleeves, jeans,
rough
ready.
makeup, like messy hair.
Yeah,
and
they
they
look great.
both looked incredible.
Yeah.
But like they look just as beautiful as they did at the beginning of the film, but it's just a different kind of like way of
Their
portraying.
clothes changed as they changed.
I think they look better at the end, and that's not just because I like style, but I think it's because it was their style and their confidence, and it's that made them just like, as you said, like almost appear better and prettier. Not pretty, I was like trying to think of a better word, but I can't. But it's that confidence and that like, this is who I am. I said that looks so much better on them than like, oh, I'm in a tight dress that somebody else wants me to wear. And it's like, no, when they get their own style, that's it. That's like a whole other level.
Yeah, confidence is very attractive. I suppose that's what it is. So it's like they kind of grew into themselves throughout the film. So
it is that.
It made you kind of more like, I don't know, think that they looked fucking great.
What
looks
did you
great.
think of Brad Pitt's acting? What did you think? He's
You-
quite a good actor, isn't he?
He is good. Yeah, you can tell it was one of his like first films.
Yeah.
If not his first. Like he's so young in it, and also
Mm.
like you can tell that he's not quite established yet. But I
Yeah.
thought he was good. Like he played a good role of being a little shit, you know.
It was that. It was the little shit and the like cheeky. I couldn't understand though how he kept popping up because I was like, they went driving and then all of a sudden they pick him up to hitchhike like down the road. I was like, how did he get there? Like the laws of time don't exist in films. But I thought he was quite good. I thought, yeah, that he pulls off that like being cheeky to the police and the husband. I think he did that quite well. But it wasn't supposed to be him. It was supposed to be William Baldwin, who got cast and dropped out. George Clooney was rejected multiple times. Mark Ruffalo auditioned. And eventually the role went to Robert Downey Jr. But then Ridley deemed him too short compared to Gina. So Gina was the one who picked Brad to do the part. So it could have been, there was a whole list of like A-listers who were ready to do it. And then, but in it, because Gina is 6 foot, I think I read.
Wow.
Like she always, like as a child, was like really, like that was something she didn't have a lot of confidence in because she was always the tallest girl in school. So she had like low self-esteem about it. But then she went on to like Boston University and majored in drama, and look at her career now. So
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
Well, I think she was apparently she was quite heavily involved in the film because I think they were considering so many other people for the roles. I think Jodie Foster was considered. Meryl Streep was quite keen to do it. There were quite a few. I think Goldie Hawn, but I don't think Ridley Scott was too keen on. They just didn't kind of have. They didn't find anyone that was like kind of perfect for the role. And then Gina Davis was like advocating for it. She was like, I need to be in this. And they had apparently Ridley Scott and her had a meeting, and he was like, you'll be in it. I just don't know which one you're going to be yet. But then when they cast Susan Sarandon, that's another thing that like surprised me, because when this came out anyways, she was about 43, 44, which I think back then would probably be unheard of for someone like in their early 40s to be playing a character like this.
Like the leading lady.
You know, like, yeah, like kind of how we're saying about The Substance, and you've seen The Substance, and how older women in the showbiz world are portrayed by the time they hit 50 or, you know, over 40. They only get cast in certain roles or get treated a certain way. So I think this was very like ahead of its time that Susan Sarandon was cast.
Wow, is she in her 70s now then?
Yeah, she was 43 when this came out, 91. Yeah.
She was born in 1946.
Wow.
Right? You wouldn't believe. I was like trying to do the maths, but yeah, you wouldn't have believed that.
Literally, when I was looking up stuff for this, I didn't know like that. I thought she was
I thought she was like my age.
Yeah, and Gina Davis was 35, so she was 10 years younger. But interesting that there's such an age gap, but they're meant to be playing women of the same age. And
well, I think it makes more sense that, again, as I said, like her character almost being a little bit protective and motherly. Like I think that comes across because she's slightly older. Because I think that would happen if you had a slightly younger friend, you automatically are a bit protective because you've got more life experience, and obviously her character was supposed to have more experience and more, you know, she wasn't a housewife, she wasn't kind of answering to her husband, she could do what she wanted, so she'd had to figure it out. So it made sense to me that she would have been slightly older. But again, that's me looking at this of how does an actual friendship work, not a Hollywood friendship that has to be beautiful and between the age of 20 and 30 and no older.
When me and Tel did The Substance, we were joking about the advert that's in The Substance, and it was like 21 to 30. And me and Tel were like, we wouldn't even fucking make the cut.
Oh my God.
We're too old for that shit now.
We're too old to enter Hollywood now.
Wow.
I know, that was an eye-opener, wasn't it?
It's right though, if we were a man, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's mad. That's actually quite funny.
Yeah.
And the music was good. I like the music.
Yeah, music is, it really stood out to me, the music this time. I think it was Hans Zimmer that did it. So yeah, it's like quite iconic, I think. Yeah. But I quite liked the sort of Western look of it as well. Like the I think the music really added to that, because at some points it did feel like a sort of spaghetti Western with some of the shots of the desert and things. So I think it did go quite well.
Yeah, they nearly literally ran over cowboys. So
Yeah. And they were driving through and all the cows, they were like trying to get past them. But I
actually,
didn't
yeah.
ask you, what did you think of Brad Pitt before we move on?
Oh yeah, sorry.
I thought he was fine.
Yeah,
I
he
think
served
he
a
was there.
purpose.
He served a purpose. I think he was cast for that role because of obviously how he looked, and but I mean, I never really thought he was a brilliant actor anyway. But that's he's fine, isn't he? But he's part of that sort of Brat Pack lot, isn't
Yeah.
he? But he was very well. I think it was very well cast. It was all brilliantly cast, all of it. I really like the colors. I like films like that, which really bring out the colors. I'm a bit like that with films, like a bit like a Magpie. They, the sand was bright, bright yellow, and and the car was, that beautiful color, and
The car was stunning.
Yeah. I do wonder, actually, you make a good point with the colours, because like other feminist type films that we've covered, Tell, like The Substance and Promising Young Woman, they focus solely, like their main focus is on the colours and the cinematography of the film, and there's so many colours in these dark subject matters. And I wonder if they took some inspiration from Thelma and Louise.
See, the answer is it's supposed to be like a juxtaposition where it's like this really
like
horrible
everything's so
storyline
bright
is
and
bright.
beautiful.
Or is it because it's women? So it's like, oh, it's meant to be bright and bubbly and beautiful, but actually it kind of works because especially for women, we're like, yeah, well, that is the real life horror happening when we are trying to carry on with our lives. And like life doesn't get muted when we go through shit. We just have to keep going. So I don't know.
Yeah. So it's just constantly in colour, but you're
Yeah.
dealing with all of this like awful stuff underneath.
Yeah.
But everything around you is bright and
Although,
sorry, it's like when she's wearing her yellow coat, but she's
yeah.
going through these horrendous things.
Yeah.
Like it's quite
I think that's on purpose. I'm sure that's done
Probably.
for us to sort of. I don't know what it would, why you would do that, but it's definitely on purpose because you notice it.
Yeah. I think so. Like especially with Promising Young Woman when she's almost dressing younger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. She's not a child.
Yeah. So it's I think it's definitely done. But yeah, wonder if they took any influence from Thelma and Louise.
Probably because again, this was one of the earlier ones.
Yeah.
Nah, surely.
Maybe.
But I did love actually funny enough, we were saying about the car. But the car was obviously stunning, gleaming, recently waxed at the beginning of the film. And then as like they got happier, the car got dirtier. And it was like just because of like the adventure they were going on, they didn't have time to stop and clean it. But again, because she like commented at one point, like, oh, I'm so gutted the car, like the one time I've regretted the car being green. And I was like, yeah, but is it really at the moment? It's quite dusty.
Yeah, it's kind of not. You'll be fine.
Also, you're the only car for hundreds of miles, according to this desert. Like, they're going to spot you either way. Like,
yeah, the car was really fun. Like,
Yeah. Lovely.
it was such a really nice, like, I know it was like one of the main parts of the film, but actually just seeing them cruising along, they were some of the best scenes, I think, when they're
Definitely. They
singing.
were just having fun, and they were just two best friends.
Yeah.
Just cruising along, having the best time. Having a real just like what we've all done with our girlfriends, sitting in the car, singing along, having a lovely time, even though you've just killed someone. But
there you go. Look, there you go. That's our next holiday trip. We'll kill someone and then just hire a convertible, and away we go. Don't care where we're going.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds great. That's the thing, is it's the convertible just makes it. But yeah, no,
It does.
It is beautiful.
Do you think Tell It would give off the same energy if it was one of our cars? I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. To be fair,
We'll rent a car first.
We'll have to rent a convertible. I don't.
Yeah, your Mini would look good. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mini look good.
I don't have a very cool car, so
we need something fun. Like, trying to think. We need a fun car. That's just the thing, though. When it's like an older and the big American cars, they do look, when they're on the open road, they do look like designed for these films when it's something like that. So
yeah, they do.
Yeah,
it's great.
But again, like the lorry driver, sorry, bearing in mind, like as we were talking about, like the driving and that, they obviously keep bumping into the same lorry driver who's also a pig.
Fuck you!
And I just thought that was interesting as well, that it was like they'd already had to deal with this guy at the beginning. And then it just seemed to be that anytime there was a guy on his own, that's when their true colours came out, and they were twats to women. And again, it's like, well, would they have still done that if there was a larger group? Or like the guy at the beginning wasn't acting like that in the bar. Like, yes, he was flirting with her yes, they were dancing very close, and the waitress knew he was married. Like, no one else in the bar possibly would have thought anything sinister was going to happen. And yet this guy, like, if they'd seen him at a truck stop, would he have done that to them? But he'll do it hanging out the window and then be like, oh yeah, they want me to pull over. And it's like, why does every guy think that's what women want? Not every guy, sorry, but every guy in these films think that's what women want. Like,
Yeah. Well, like I don't know what men are thinking when they do that. Like I've even had that before, like on a traffic light, and they've beat their car, and I've turned around and they just like are smirking at me or like smiling, and I'm like, what do you want me to do right now? Like,
and that's
yeah,
it. If you
well,
swear
that's
at
what I'd
them,
like to do. But
yeah.
what
Or if
they
you-
really want is me to like laugh maybe
No.
and like joke around with them, and I just stared at them.
I'm trying
But
to feed
like,
their ego.
yeah, it's weird. So then, yeah, like that truck guy, was like licking his lips and sticking his tongue out. And then eventually at the end, they were like, right, fuck it. Like, we've had
Yeah.
enough. So they, blow up his
But, like,
lorry, which is great.
Has that ever worked? Like, again, when guys do this, like, has anyone ever been like, oh my God, I must have you now? Like,
Yeah. Oh God, get my
no.
tits out. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
all
sounds
they're
great.
trying to do is make you uncomfortable, and like, or if you do respond positively, feed their ego. But it is like, you're just trying to make me uncomfortable, especially him, because like you've got a big lorry, so you can intimidate. Like, it's so fucking weird. What is that mentality? I don't get it.
I know. And he seemed very thrown off when they called him out and they were like, oh, did you want us to suck your dick? Like, and she was being so, like, probably to him, very crass and very like, a woman shouldn't be saying that. And so it really threw him off, I think, when they started having a go at him.
What did you say to that?
Does that mean suck my dick?
You women crazy.
You got that right.
I think 'cause
stuttered,
we'd
like-
literally just watched this bit. I think
Yeah.
he I don't know, he just kind of was taken aback and he was like, oh, you
Go
two are
fuck
crazy
yourself.
bitches. And the classic,
But
you're a
it's that.
psycho.
They want you to suck their dick, but you can't say those words because then they freak out, and you're like, well, I'm sorry.
Yeah. They want you to do it without saying anything.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Ugh.
That's so fucked up. So I thought that was like a nice addition. It's like, fuck it. We've already done for murder and robbery. We might as well blow up a lorry as well.
I like the expression on was it who shot the tires? Was it Thelma or Louise?
I think it was Louise that did that.
Yeah, and Thelma's face was like, I didn't know you could shoot like that.
Yeah, where'd you learn to do that?
Yeah, she took out all the tires and she looked at her like, whoa,
Yeah.
well done you.
So impressed.
Mm.
So impressed with each other this whole time. Well, because I think as well, like Louise was very much like, don't speak to anyone, don't interact with anyone. But as we say, I think at this point it was like, no, we've got to say something now. Like we're nearing the end of this. Let's just tell him what we think of him, sort of thing.
I think
So they knew
yeah.
they were in trouble by then. They knew
Yeah.
they were in trouble.
Yeah.
And so they knew that it wasn't going in the right direction. So they
No.
kind of just thought, well, here we go.
Okay,
Let's just
It's for every time that you end up having to ignore it, the one time you get to stand up for yourself is that, isn't it? It's like, right, we've been putting up with this for our whole lives. Let's take charge, because they'd had that confidence by then. It was so nice to see. Yeah, you put him in his place.
Yeah, definitely. And so, I feel like as a woman, there's so many times where you feel like you can't do that at risk of coming across as aggressive, or, if someone does it once, you kind of think, oh, well, I'll let it go. And, why do women have to do that? But like, I've felt that way before. Like I've not said something because it's like, oh, well, I'm with people, I've had a few drinks. Like, I don't want them to think it, I'm just coming across as aggressive. So I think we've all been there where, you think, oh, I'm not going to say anything because, it will make more of a fuss, than it needs to, sort of thing. So even just watching them was liberating, because it was like, you've just said everything that so many women have probably wanted to say,
And again, but because we can't, if we could, men don't know how to react, because actually, like, they haven't heard that. All their only reaction is, fuck you, you're ugly. Okay, cool.
Or call you a bitch or something, because that's just, or a psycho.
But
that's just the way out.
The ones where you can't say anything back, or you don't say anything back, like, those are the ones that stay with you as well. You're like, I fucking should have said it.
Oh, I know. So many times when you think, oh, I should have said that, I should have said this.
Sure, yeah.
It's just one of those things, but I'm sure we'll have other opportunities to.
I don't know whether you can go through life actually saying everything you want to say, though. I think maybe
Wouldn't it be good though?
Wouldn't it be great?
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd have too much But fear the next day. Oh God, what did I say? And what did I?
True.
True. And I think that is it, isn't it? It's like, yeah, you don't know how they're going to react. It depends on the situation. It depends on the story, exactly. And that's it. It's like, what are the repercussions if I say this? And we've said it before, and I can't remember which film. Sometimes it is safer. Like, it's not even about like standing up for yourself. Sometimes it's literally safer to say nothing, or like talk to someone later, like rather than in the moment, because in the moment you may not be safe, and that's really horrible. Yeah, because like you say,
Why
the
did
next
they
day
go
it's fear.
to the ending? Why did they have so many police cars chase them?
It seemed very excessive, didn't it?
It was
I think it was because it was two women, and the men couldn't let them keep getting away with it and making them look bad. And I guarantee that's why they had extra police.
Even the detective said, though, this is excessive, like this is too much. Why are there so many? But I understand it was like they killed someone and they were on like it was a manhunt, but
One person. They killed one person. Like
the aesthetics, it looked incredible, didn't it?
Yeah,
when they were all being chased by all of them.
it did look good, but yeah, I think even the detective pointed out that it was a lot of cars. So I wonder if, it's obviously could have been done on purpose, where it's kind of showing like,
Intimidation.
yeah, well, I suppose, the whole time as well when they're at Thelma's husband's house, all the policemen are just sat in his house watching TV, waiting for Thelma to ring again. And there are all these like men just sat there doing nothing,
one of them
basically.
reading a porn mag.
Oh, really? Oh,
I think it was called Boudoir. I'm gonna look it up and clip it in. But literally, they're like, and I've just Googled it as well, because it's like, okay, they killed one person. In the 90s in the US, there was Richard Ramirez, Jeffrey Dahmer, Gary Ridgway, Samuel Little, Eileen Warrener. I can never say her surname. Like, there were so many actual serial killers. And it's like, why are you worried about these two women that killed one man who you're pretty sure was a problem anyway? Like,
Yeah.
so
And
many.
because the police were kind of being kind of mocked throughout the film, I wonder if it was kind of done on purpose, where it's like, oh God, yeah, let's send everyone out. Let's send the army out. Like I think at that point maybe it became like a parody, of police. Maybe. Maybe not, but
I do love the bit actually where it's like, call your husband and find out if he knows anything. And as soon as he's like, hello, oh hello, she just hangs up, because I was like, oh yeah, he's acting with shit. Like,
Daryl, it's me.
Thelma, hello.
He knows.
because he was being nice to her, and she
Yeah.
was like, no, but obviously,
again, how sad.
Shouted, "Why?" or something. Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking. The reason she
I
knew
know.
was because he was nice.
Oh, that is so sad.
Yeah.
the,
Really,
the
really
one
upsetting.
bit, the line that was my favorite from her is when they confront the single police officer, and they like say, oh, can I have your glasses because yours look cooler than mine, and they force him into the trunk of the car.
And could I trade glasses with you, maybe? Thanks. Okay. That it?
And she was like, oh, you better be nice to your wife and kids, because my husband wasn't nice to me, and look what happened to me. Like, I absolutely love that line. It was so good. And she was like, well, you be sweet to them. You be sweet to your wife and kids. And then he started crying and getting himself into the boot. That was one of my favorite scenes, I think.
I have a wife and kids, please.
You do? Well, you're lucky. You be sweet to him, especially your wife. My husband wasn't sweet to me. Look how I turned out.
I love it when the cyclist came along. Although, of course, racial stereotyping, the black man happened to be a stoner, but when he comes along and blows and hotboxes the boot, that was fucking great. So yes,
That was good. Yeah, no, maybe there was a bit of token like stereotyping going on there, but
I think that's of its time, though, isn't it? It was 30 years ago when things were slightly different.
yeah. Still though,
But yeah.
excellent move. So like, we'll allow it.
Definitely.
Excellent move. Well, we'll allow the acting.
But yeah, that police officer bit was great. It was just kind of like, yeah, you be nice to your wife, because otherwise this is what will happen.
Yeah, that's so good.
It was funny actually when you were saying about like Susan Sarandon being kind of like the mother figure or like the older figure, because there was one point where Ridley Scott wanted to do a scene where Gina Davis, Thelma, was had her top off, like she took her top off. And Gina Davis was kind of like, well, I don't really see the point in that. Like, I don't understand what purpose like that serves. And apparently she went to speak to Susan Sarandon, and they both agreed. They like looked at the script and thought about it, and they were like, why is this required? So apparently Susan Sarandon went over to Ridley Scott and was like, Gina's not doing that.
Absolutely fair.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought that
that's
was really
it.
nice.
It's always that, isn't
But
it? It's like nudity has a place in films, but it doesn't need to be there just for the sake of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, of course it doesn't, and everything I think that we've covered on the podcast before, that each thing has a place, however horrible or whatever.
Yeah.
Or even if it's just nudity, but that didn't, and they obviously didn't think it did. But it was funny that they both were like kind of joining forces and were like, nope, she's not doing this.
I mean, we did see her in a bikini, like, and again, it just didn't need to be topless. But the bit with her in the bikini by the pool actually cracked me up. And then I saw it in the facts as well. She was supposed to, when Susan Sarandon comes along in the car and honks, that was supposed to be her cue to then get up and go and get in the car. But she turned her Walkman up too loud, so she didn't hear the car. So Susan Sarandon, that was actually improvised, her getting out the car and coming to get her and making her jump. And I was like, that's actually brilliant, because they all stayed in enough character. And I was like, that's actually such a good addition to the film. But again, even that, I was like, she's leaving it to Louise to figure out. She's by the pool relaxing, like not a care in the world. So that kind of added to the, like, she's just leaving it.
It did, yeah.
And it actually wasn't even supposed to be that way, but it did crack me up.
Apparently the man that played Thelma's husband was Gina Davis' ex-boyfriend, and apparently she recommended him. She was like, he's the funniest guy in the world, like audition him. And then apparently one of the first scenes is when he goes to work and he falls over, and he didn't mean to do that.
Oh, really?
And they kept it in because it went so perfectly with this like fucking idiot character that he was playing.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was kind of like, most of the time he was a complete asshole, but he did have times where he was quite funny.
Moments.
Yeah, he had moments where it was like, he was very like funny in a way where, like if the police officer had to say, oh, make sure you're nice to her when she rings, and he kind of pulls a face, and yeah, so I didn't know that there was a connection there, but
that was it, when they were like interviewing him and they were like, oh, do you have a connection with your wife? And he was like, well, I'm married to her. And it was like the disgust and the way they were talking in that interview was horrible. Like the way they were talking about women was absolutely disgusting. But like, again, as you say, like of the time, but it just showed the whole attitude around like the police, like not taking these women seriously, assuming they were just the worst. So that is really, but then him later in the film, like there was like just a shot of him, like his face, and he was just like a broken shell. And I was like, but is that just one, because he knows his wife is just like gone off the rails, or is it because she's not looking after him? Like he physically needs someone to remind him to shower, to remind him to shave. Like I didn't know which way it was. I was like, I don't know if it's because he's like, wow, my wife's so cool and I'm so lame now.
But you often see that with men who, with situations where there is sort of domestic abuse, that if something happens to the woman, the men are off if the woman leaves, the men are often devastated, and they're like, they can't cope, can they? They're absolutely wealthy, and then they go and try and kill them, but they're devastated. So it's all about power. I think the power you've got over them, but they probably do care and want them in the house and want them with them. But it's just I think
the power takes over. Maybe
it's like they serve a purpose, and without them, they're like, oh, what do I do? But he wasn't. He like threw it in her face. He's like, I'm assistant manager or whatever he was, and it was like, all right, calm down. Sorry, I cut you off.
But it was showed that sort of part of America as well, I think.
Suburban.
Yeah, that sort of old-fashioned, I guess.
To be fair, though, at my old job, because obviously I used to travel a lot, the amount of times where I was like, oh, okay, so I'm going to be in Scotland for 10 days. The amount of times I go, oh, what does your partner do while you're gone? What does he eat? Does he eat when you're gone? I'm like, he's a fully grown man. Like he's he's been dressing himself for years. He's been showering for years. He hasn't starved to death yet. He's going to be fine. But he now goes away for work sometimes, and never once has he been asked if I'm going to be okay without him here. I'm just like, again, it's even now, like in modern
hell.
times, God forbid a 30-year-old can look after himself. Like, I promise, if he gets hungry and he doesn't want to cook, he knows where the takeaway menu is. But like, it's like that. I'm like, he will find a way to feed himself. Like, he can cook really fucking well. And it's just that, where why is the expectation that I have to leave him frozen dinners? Like, fuck off. It honestly really pisses me off every time I get that question. I'm like,
When he walks into the house, you have to have face full of makeup, dress on,
yeah,
apron.
my petticoat, my high heels, my little kitten heels, mopped floors.
Dinner ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear
don't
though, next time I get that question, I'll be like, oh, are you offering to come and cook for him for the week I'm away? Like, I think Mitch would kill me if I was just inviting someone else around the house while I was gone.
He'd be like, fuck off.
Like, who keeps entering the home?
Oh, we'll ask you next time, Tel. When he goes away, we'll message and see if anyone's looking after you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, just come stay with you
We'll come
guys.
and
Like,
look after
I
you.
forgot how to cook. Help me. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was even one point where they're talking and he's like, oh, I'll have to work late tonight. And you can tell, I mean, she's not stupid. She was like, oh, it's funny how many people want to buy a car at 10 p.m. on a Friday. Like, he's obviously at a strip club, or he's like,
Having an
sleeping with
affair
someone
or-
else, or having an affair, doing whatever.
But it's
Or just-
because then she rang at like 4 a.m. and he wasn't home.
yeah.
So like,
So there we go.
and then when he comes home and he's mad that she's not there, and I'm like, but how do you know
Oh.
she wasn't there? Because you weren't there.
Yeah, the worst.
Yeah. He sucks.
Everyone sucks.
He does play it very well, but he does suck.
He does, yeah. I think he was a very good choice for it.
Mm.
And as I say, like, it really showed that I'm glad that she was listened to, because she obviously had a big impact in the film, like, of things she suggested and things she said no to. And I think that's really good.
No, that's really amazing.
Mm.
Don't want to ask if we'll survive this one, because I feel like that defeats the point of the ending.
Yeah, it's difficult to sort of like answer that, really.
Yeah.
Maybe you should ask each other who would be Thelma and with you two, and who would be Louise.
I don't know.
I don't know, actually.
To be
I
fair
think
to
you'd be Thelma.
yeah, I think
was
Tel
like-
gives these energy, if I'm honest.
I think, yeah, in my head, I was like, I think I'd pull the trigger first.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Who would pull the trigger first?
Oh,
I think
definitely Chantal.
definitely Chantal. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Louise, you're Thelma. And Kaz is along for the ride.
I put that. You're definitely Thelma and Louise. Yeah.
Okay.
definitely.
Who do you identify with most?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. It's hard because you can see, I think everyone can see a bit of themselves in each of them.
I think
So it's hard.
actually, yeah, I think and again, different points in your life. Like, I know there's been times I've been
Yeah.
Thelma and I've been quieter and not able to stand up for myself or stand up for my friends, and then I've become Louise, where I'm like, you fucking what? And even now, there's days where
Yeah.
like you just don't have that in you, but we're going to use that now. Like, if we're out and about and someone's being a dick, like, are we Thelma-ing this or Louising this? Like,
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely.
I think it depends who you're with, to who you say you'd be Thelma and Louise with. Like with you and me, I'd definitely be Louise, and
Yes.
you'd be Thelma still. I think you're going to be Thelma the whole time.
Yeah. I just take some time to get into that kind of like fuck you mode, but I get there.
you do.
I always end up getting there.
Exactly, and that's why you're Thelma. You're like, I'll get there. You just give me the right piece of shit to annoy me and I'll get there.
Oh, trust me. I'll do all right. Thanks.
But what are you scoring this spookies out of 5, and what's your favorite spooky moment? Go to Katie first. We'll give Kaz a bit of time to think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if because obviously you've not had the time to watch it again. I didn't want to put you on the spot with the best moment of the film, but if you can think of one,
Well,
then-
for me, it has to be the ending, because it's so good, it's so epic. I love it when they just look at each other and they hold hands, and it's just like pure friendship.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing this together, and it's about women, just being just the best
Uniting.
of friends, and just thinking, right, off we go.
Yeah.
So that is the best moment for me. But
Okay.
I really like the film. I thought it was lovely.
and spooky's out of 5, so
I'd give very high,
mm,
almost 5, maybe 4.5, 4.3 quarters.
okay.
I think it's one of the really, really great films.
Yeah. Well, I think mine is the police scene where it's just those two and one police officer. I just think I absolutely loved it. And I'm going to give it a 5. Like, there's nothing wrong with the film. Like, it's quite a long film, but I think everything is in there for a reason. I wouldn't take anything out. I think it's very well paced. It's acted incredibly, and I think it's a really important film. So I don't see anything wrong with it. So I'm going to give it a 5.
I'll copy you then. Go.
Yeah, 2 5s over
2
here.
5s?
What about-
So funny, I was going to 4.5, but only because funny that you said you don't think it's too long. I think it's a bit too long, and again, I think it's a product of its time. Where and as much as I love those scenes of them just driving along, just the two of them, there was quite a few of those scenes, and then we saw quite a few scenes of like the police just sat around, and I was like, we probably could have lost some of this. And the fact they like saw the lorry driver 3 times, I was like, they could have pissed him, like they could have killed him on the second one, or didn't kill him, blew up his truck. Like, I think there was just some things that, maybe were overdone a little, but I think again, it was in the 90s, they shot everything, they put everything in. So it wasn't that it wasn't needed. I just think you didn't need it repeated. But again, that's just me being a real pain in the bum. But I think my favorite bit, I think it's actually gonna be when Thelma robs the shop. Because I love how they cut it, where she's like telling Louise, and she's like, "Oh, so I just said," and then they cut it so that you actually see it, and I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
But I also like that that's kind of her switch, and she's like, maybe I was always meant to do this, and there's like that mental like, oh, I can do this, I can stand up for myself, I can provide for us. And it was like, she was suddenly taking charge, so Louise and her were almost like equals, and like there was caring going, like as we said, like you're caring for each other both ways, and we got to see more of that. So I think for me that was like the changing point and my highlight.
Nice.
All right.
Really good. Yeah, that's so true. Actually, all those shots, it was a bit too many of the same.
And again, that's just me being a bit picky, because I just like, they were beautiful shots, and where they were filming was stunning, and it was just driving along, music on, like those are some of the best parts of my day. But I didn't need to see it all the time. But I still love those moments. So it's like, maybe I didn't need all of them, but I love that they're there. All right, anything else to add on Thelma and Louise?
Not for me.
Mum? No, I don't think so. I think you said it all beautifully, you girls.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Caroline. We'll definitely get you back for another one.
Thank you for having me.
We love it when you join us, especially for the really feminist ones. Join us again next week for another amazing film. And you can follow us on the socials so you know to follow along and what to watch to get yourself ready. Until then, bye.
Bye-bye.
Dun. We might drive off a cliff.
Not joined in.